Let's jump straight over to Alan Dershowitz. He's talking about the Epstein cover-up, and he's on News Nation with Chris Cuomo. And he had this to say about the situation when it comes to why Donald Trump and this administration will not release these files, as if we don't already know.
The mythology is there's a client list. He was getting underage girls for a big list of powerful guys, American and foreign. That's why they killed him, and Maxwell knows. Do you accept any of those?
Not a single one of them. I wish there were a client list. That my fondest wish is that there were a client list, because I wouldn't be on it. I wasn't his client. I was his lawyer. He was my client. There was no client list. Only 2 people testified that they were trafficked. Both of them have been found to be complete liars. One of them admitted that she made up stories about having videos of Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. The other one denies the Holocaust and made up all kinds of stories about people. So there's no credible evidence, basically, about clients or about being passed around to people. That's just all made up. And this, I challenge anybody to come up with any testimony to the contrary of that. That's what's so strange about these files not being released.
Alan Dershowitz says that it's strange that these files have not been released because there's no client list. Alan Dershowitz, in case you guys forgot, was a good friend and attorney of one Jeffrey Epstein. He was around a lot of it, but don't forget, in that first part, he talked about how these alleged victims were criminals and liars, and they don't have much credibility at all. One of them being Virginia Giuffre, who is the woman who was one of the biggest names that was exposing this and died earlier this year by suicide.
She's an admitted prostitute. She's a serial liar. I can tell you she is still a prostitute. She is selling false stories now for money about me. Were there young women in another part of the house giving massages when I wasn't around? I have no idea of that. I kept my underwear on during the massage. I don't like massages particularly.
Alan Dershowitz kept his underwear on during the massage at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in his massage room, which we're going to get to. But this guy called the woman who earlier this year, they say killed herself, and who's the biggest name, who was unapologetic about putting her name and face on bringing down Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, a prostitute. And when asked, why would you say that about someone who was victimized and trafficked as a young teenager, she made her own choices. This is a glimpse into the kinds of people that Jeffrey Epstein surrounded himself with, and that potentially were on this list that the same guy who he surrounded himself with, who wore his underwear during a massage in the sex trafficker's house, but it was by an older woman. These are the kinds of people who are looking to defend this whole thing. It might give you more of a reason to see why one of those people whose name is all over these files that's still being redacted and hidden and not shown to us, the president of the United States, is very much so hell-bent on denying everything that he promised he'd release, that he's not releasing now. This is how disgusting they talk about people. This is why Donald Trump also said that she was just someone that was stolen from him by Jeffrey Epstein, because they see these folks as property. And when asked about these children, it's zero amount of sympathy or understanding of her being victimized in that situation. She's just a prostitute. Dershowitz was still on News Nation talking to Chris Cuomo.
What has to happen is the government has to go in front of the 3 judges who have sealed material. They're all in the Southern District of New York, and they all have material that's seized. That's where the details are. That's where the accusations are. It includes accusations by alleged victims, but also accusations against alleged victims. So the judge sealed them in order to protect victims. But some of the victims are also perpetrators and criminals and did terrible things. And so let's have everything open. The time has come. Sometimes it pays to seal things for a year or 2 years. Now it's been 25 years since these alleged events occurred. But these are not files that the Justice Department has access to.
But they do have stuff, right? The DOJ has stuff that they could release, right?
Everything. And you want to redact the name of a victim, okay, but also include the information about the victim so that we can assess the credibility. But judges have to unseal. The Justice Department has to reveal everything it has in its file that is not subject to sealing, and then let the public, let the media go dig deeply into these people, and let's get the true story. People who are innocent have nothing to hide.
Put it out there so we can know who they are, so we can dig deep and find out whatever it is we can find. And as he did in that same interview, demean and downgrade their credibility so that we can say their stories. These victims that he says there's no such thing as a client list. Are they victims or is there a client list? What are they victims of if there's no client list? What did Jeffrey Epstein do? He doesn't know his back was always turned, but he was a buddy and an attorney for him. It's weird how that works, right? There's one more clip of this guy on Cuomo's show, and what they can't figure out after all that cover for people like Donald Trump is why someone like Donald Trump keeps falling over himself to cover this up. If there's nothing wrong, why does he keep falling over himself? They can't figure it out.
Why does this keep happening to Trump, Dersh? I'm not making him a victim. I'm saying he says I'm going to release the UAP stuff. Biden was an idiot. Then he doesn't. Gives us the same thing he did. JFK, we're going to release everything. It's all coming out this time. They hoodwinked me the first time, Pompeo and those guys. Not this time. Nothing happens. Now it's this. He says, I have nothing to worry about. I knew the guy, but I never had anything to do with the disgusting stuff. And as soon as I found out about it, I blocked him from my club. So then why isn't he saying, I don't want to hear anything else? Put it out.
He's wrong. I don't know why he isn't leading the campaign to put things out. There's nothing in there. I know what's in the files. There's nothing in there incriminating in any way, as far as I know, about Donald Trump. So I can testify that Bill Clinton knew Jeffrey Epstein, of course, knew him well enough to have a 15-minute call way before any of these allegations came out. But there's nothing in the file to suggest that he did anything wrong, that he was ever on the island, that he ever had anything or did anything improper. But everybody wants to point the finger at somebody else. And look, I agree with the governor. This is not going to go away. And the excuse that we're going to prosecute somebody, the statute of limitations is mostly over. And even if you are, sacrifice that. The Americans' public's right to know, need to know, in this case comes first. Everything should come out, and the president should lead the campaign and start tomorrow saying, I'm ordering my attorney general to go in front of every judge, seek everything out there.
But he won't. And I think Alan Dershowitz knows that he won't. Yo, it's really not that hard to see. It really isn't. Especially when that same guy told anyone who's still talking about this to shut the F up. And why are you still on this? Nobody cares, he said.